taste it and see you're good to me. You always saw the best in me. You're always there when I'm in.
Hello, hello, hello. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started. How long I got till 8 o'clock? I'm just playing. It's just a joke. Just a joke. How long I get? I'm actually good, thank you.
You don't want to say you want to say you can use this.
No, I'm good. I have this. No. But are y'all going to switch it for me? Or I got to, okay, because I don't want to mess up nothing. Okay, so how much time do I have? Oh, okay. Well, how's everybody doing? Good. Y'all look wonderful. Well, I am really excited. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart for several reasons, and y'all will find out as we walk through this and have this discussion. So come on in, find you a seat. I do have one request. I need all men to sit on the front rows. Per Mark Moore, he said that these are not the kind of conversations. Look at him, he running. No, but I am excited, y'all. But it's time to talk. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up in prayer, and then we're going to jump right in. I'm going to wait till Miss Cutie make her way. She know I love her. I love you. I love you. I love you. Okay. Called us to be, Lord, so that we can have the impact that you so desire for us here in this earth, oh God. So, Lord, I pray you be with me tonight, Lord, that you allow me to speak with clarity and articulation. I pray, God, that all of you comes through and none of me, God. Lord, I just give you praise, honor, and glory. I pray that the things that we discussed tonight, that someone will walk away with a different way to approach conversations, a tactical way, a way that makes them feel more confident in their ability to have healthy, hard conversations, oh God. So I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to stand before your people. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. 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 So, y'all, it's time to talk. We are going to, this is a casual environment. I don't want it to be one way. I want us to have an engaging conversation. Last week, y'all were all in when King David was standing up here. I need y'all to show me the same love, not less. You can show me more, but not less. So, thank you. So, I'm really excited about this topic because how many of you know what a healthy conversation or crucial conversation is? I need a show of hands. How many of you know what that is? Okay, how many of you have had to have hard conversations? Oh, that's everybody. Okay, that's good. How many of you feel comfortable having hard conversations or feel equipped? Okay, that's fair. That's fair. A lot of people don't feel very comfortable having hard conversations for various reasons. But tell me, why do you think it's hard to have those kind of conversations? What are some reasons why it would be difficult to have a hard conversation? Ooh, yeah, what, huh? Who? Over here, what'd you say? Okay. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. What else? What? That's a good one. Afraid of conflict. Yes, that's a good one. Anybody else? Don't want to be the bad guy. All of these are good reasons. Anybody else? Okay. You what? Don't want to start drama. Same, avoiding conflict. Okay, good, good. So I have another question. How many of you have either heard or you know what emotional intelligence is? Okay, good. So, Courtney, give me your definition of emotional intelligence. What does that mean? That's not it right there. They having fights.
Well, not being immature, but having it feel like really respectful and carry out the conversation in a healthy, respectful manner.
That's good. That's good. Okay, good. So y'all are doing good. That was a good warm up. Y'all participated. Even Pastor Lean raised his hand, so he is engaged. So awesome. So tonight's ask, what I want you to do is I want you to put yourself in the place of the hearer and the doer as we talk through this process, okay? I want you to think about, as the hearer, how do you receive constructive feedback or constructive criticism? When it challenges the way you think or you behave. Think about, as the hearer, the one receiving, how do you receive constructive criticism or feedback? Okay. That's good. That's good. Let's put a pin in that because she said, if I've asked for it. So hold on to that. Tuck that away. But I want you to think about this as the hearer. Your filter. Are you sensitive when you receive the information? Are you emotional? Do your defenses come up? As the hearer. Okay? As the doer, how do you provide constructive feedback or criticism? Do you do it without regard of the other person, their personality, their state? What's your motive behind it? Are you trying to build up or tear down? Because anytime we have these types of conversations, you have to have an objective, an end goal in mind. It's not, well, I'm finna get him a piece of my mind. Well, you ain't got but two. I need you to keep both pieces. Don't give nobody a piece of your mind. Don't match energies. That we're gonna talk about all of that. So remember, I need you to put yourself in both positions, the hearer and the doer. And what I want to also encourage you to do is be honest with yourself. And we're going to talk about that. And the reason being is I've experienced a lot personally, a lot of transformation because I had people who cared enough to tell me the truth in love, even if it hurt. So I had to learn how to become the hearer in an effective way. And then as the doer, I had to learn that too because I was someone who would avoid conflict. I didn't like conflict early on in my early 20s. I had to learn to master it. And now I'm good at it, y'all. When I tell you I'm good at it, I'm good at it. Trust and believe. Okay. So it's time to talk. Are y'all ready to talk? Okay, I need you to be honest. I need you to be honest. I need you to, as we're talking through this, I need you to say, okay, as the hearer, yeah, I get in my chest, I get in my feelings, I get my feelings hurt real easy. As the doer, I just say what's on my mind. I don't even think about it with respect to who my audience is. I don't pause, I don't pray. You getting it how I'm getting it. You getting it how I'm giving it. Okay, fair enough? Okay, so we're gonna go to the next slide. Carl? Sure, okay, there you go. Okay, I wanna talk through the different graphics on this screen because I want us to really get a good understanding of a few things. So we are going to reference some word, but first, before we do all of that, I want us to think about why is it important to have healthy, hard, or crucial conversations? Why is it important? Why do we need to do it? What's the point? Who cares about it? Why? Why do we need to do it? Yep. Yes, all great answers. So, oftentimes when you get to the point where you need to have a crucial conversation or a healthy, hard conversation, a lot of times there have been some things that have transpired, right? It might have been one time, it may have been several times. And you've come to a point where you need to talk about it, right? Okay. So the objective is we need to solve a problem. The good thing is this is a transferable process. It's not just specific to work. It's not just specific to church. It's specific to life. Because when we become more effective in communicating, we become more effective in being able to navigate the ins and outs, the highs and lows of life, the stresses of life. And how many of you work with people, live with people, know people, are a people? So with that, that means you got to talk to somebody. It amazes me when I hear people say, well, I don't have to work with people. A lot of times it's typically, and I'm sorry if you sit in this role as IT, but a lot of what I found is a lot of technical people or a lot of people in the IT field, because they're oftentimes independent contributors, they feel like, or I'll even give you another one, entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. Well, who are you entrepreneuring with? Yourself? You got to work with people and you're serving people. Whether you are an independent contributor or entrepreneur, you're still going to have to engage people. You're going to have to interact with people. And as a result, you may have to have a hard conversation. You may have to address something before it gets out of hand, or maybe you allowed it to get to the point where it's out of hand. It's on full blaze. And so you've got to calm that down. But you've got to be equipped with doing so. So I want to take a look at the quotes, the graphics on the screen. So if you take a look, it says that it's only through hard conversations followed by meaningful action that we get anywhere. So have the hard conversation. You got to have them. I don't know anybody in this room that has gotten to this point in your life that you have not had to have at least one hard conversation. But let me ask you, how did it go? Can you think of at least one hard conversation where you're like, that went sideways real fast? What are some of the reasons that the conversations don't yield something positive or constructive? What are some reasons why?
The person is blocked off.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to receive it.
Okay. Delivering, oh, that's a good one. Delivering with emotion. So that's the doer. Okay, good. That's good. And then we talked about the receiver. The person is blocked off. But at the end of the day, we still have to have those meaningful conversations, so we have to prioritize them. So you have to build that toolkit, because it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much life you've lived. If you're still here, you're going to be interacting with people. And you're going to have these types of conversations. And I'm going to tell you, it makes life so much easier for so many reasons. So we're going to talk about that. So if you take a look at the bubble says emotional intelligence, we're going to dive into that. You're wondering probably, why are you talking about crucial conversations and emotional intelligence? Can anybody take a guess? Why am I talking about those two things? They go hand in hand. Well, how do they go hand in hand? Crucial conversation, emotional intelligence, how do they go hand in hand? Oh, you went to school. Okay, that was a good one. That's true. I'm in the church, and I'm not going to say what that first thought was. I'm stay safe. Okay, so that is true. Emotional intelligence and crucial conversations, they do go hand in hand. They're twins. It's not either or, it's both and. You have to execute a healthy, hard conversation or a crucial conversation with some emotional intelligence. So we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. But then when you look at the the two faces, what are some of the words that pop out at you? What do you see? What's something that jumps off? Mm-hmm. Oh, you deep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Evasive. Okay. Okay. Resistant. What about reactive? What's wrong with reactive? What's wrong with that? Yep, you speak before you think. Y'all a good class. Look here. Okay. And then EQ versus IQ. Can anybody just tell me what you think that is a reference to? EQ versus IQ. That's good, but you went deep. You pulled back some layers. I wouldn't, yeah. What EQ versus IQ? Okay, we're gonna find out. Stay with me. So, I want us to look at, let's see which one I want to go to first. So, Proverbs 4:7, what does it say up there on the screen? Y'all can cheat. Huh? What? Okay, let's say that again. Wisdom is what? So get what? And whatever else you get, what you need to get? Okay. Wisdom is what? So get who? And whatever else you get, what? Okay, I can't get no plainer than that. Okay, so wisdom is supreme. So whatever you get wisdom, but whatever else you get an understanding. So they go hand in hand, wisdom and understanding. But in order to do that, we have to ensure that we're effectively communicating so that, one, if we are the doer and facilitating the constructive or the hard conversation, that we're doing it from a place of wisdom. We're seeking wisdom. We're trying to get an understanding. Same thing for the hearer. So if you're someone who, maybe you have a trigger, and I'm going to use me. So Monday, I typically have a standing one-on-one with one of the leaders on my team. Some things didn't happen the way they should have, so I was a little aggravated. So I politely asked her to move it to the next day, simply because I wasn't in a place where what I needed to share with her would have been constructive. I would have been reacting based on the feedback that I needed to provide that was constructive, but she wouldn't have been able to receive it because I would have just been giving it how I was feeling it. Does that make sense? Okay, so sometimes we have to pause. So we need to remember, wisdom is supreme. We all need it. So turn to Proverbs 13:10. This was good. When I was studying, I said, ooh, this is a good one. Let me know when you get there. Proverbs 13:10. And we're going to get into the meat of it in just a minute. Y'all just hold on. I gotta get y'all there first. Got it. What version are you looking at, Mark? What does yours say?
Through overconfidence comes nothing but strife, but wisdom is for those who receive counsel.
That's good. Who else has a different version?
I have NLT.
Okay, what does yours say?
Pride leads to conflict. Those who take advice are wise.
That's good. Anybody else got one? Derek Butts?
By pride comes nothing but strife, but with the will advised is wisdom.
Okay. My version says, where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. So no, we shouldn't just be willfully doling out unsolicited advice, you know. Now, if we are, it should be from the right place. The motive should be to build up, not to tear down. So how many of you have had to have a conversation with someone that you're like, why I gotta tell them? Why I gotta be the one to tell them? Why they didn't tell them before I got here? This ain't new. That has happened to me several times. And what I have found is the best thing to do is to go ahead and address it. Because if it has been going on for that amount of time, it has been allowed. So what you will find is when you master the ability to have healthy conversations, what you will become known for is someone who their yes is their yes and their no is their no. You'll earn trust, you'll earn respect, and they'll know Tanya's going to tell you the truth, but she's going to do it in love. It might be hard, I might not want to hear it, but she's going to do it in love. So we can't avoid it. So no, we don't want to just walk around providing advice. And we know people like that. Like, I didn't even ask you that. Like, why you? Or the timing of it. Like, you got to read the room. You can't just walk up to someone that has just, I'm going to use perfect example. So you come home from work or you've had a rough day. You walk into the house and you don't even have an opportunity to breathe and somebody's asking you for something. Read the room. Give me a chance. Can't you see I'm disheveled? I'm not even, I'm not even at a place where I can hear what you're saying. And you might mean it from the best place, but is the timing as equally as important as the message? Now, for you doers who just shoot from the hip, that might bother you because you're like, no, I need to tell them. But there is wisdom in that pause. Yes. There is wisdom in the pause because it gives you a chance to step back and assess. So you want to make sure that your motive is right as the doer. But hearers, we have to practice that hearing because our defenses do come up. But I wanted to just call out that it says, my version again said, where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. So what I added as my part B, which is not in the scripture, but this is Tanya. So this is the book of Tanya, verse 1, book of Tanya. Okay. Not only do we need to recognize that where we are responding from, reacting from, we have to assess that and understand that pride is the root of that if it's yielding strife. Okay? But wisdom is found in those who take advice and act on it. So I was told by a mentor many years ago that the best way that you can show them you appreciate them is to act on the wisdom that they've given you. So they have invested an hour of their time. Invested. Because time is the one commodity. When you spend it, you don't get it back. Now, you can hit rewind all day on the TV and on the streaming devices and all that, but you can't hit rewind on time. So someone who is willing to sit down and invest their time in you, the best form of a compliment is to act on the advice. So it's not just to get the advice, but act on it. And it might be difficult, but the person that is supporting you through that process will continue to support you. That make sense? Okay. Y'all are such a good class. Okay. So we're going to move to the next slide. This is a good one. Okay. Want to make sure you can see it. So I want y'all to keep calm and have the healthy, hard conversation. Have the conversation. But I'm going to give you the tools. You're going to walk away with just a little, even if it's just one nugget, just one thing that you can apply, you will thank me later. So I'm going to use an example, but in order to do this, whether you are the hearer or the doer, the recipient or the facilitator of having these conversations, are you self-aware? Do you know you? How many of you say, I'm going to use my husband, for example. We've been married now 28 years. One of the things that Aline will say is, give me a minute. I'm not ready to talk about it. Let me process. I have to respect that. But early on in our marriage, he would say that. I'd be like, no, we're going to talk about this now. And then I'd act like a little girl and have a tantrum. And I'd try to push a button because that was what I thought was healthy. Like, I'm throwing a verbal punch. I want you to throw a verbal punch. That's not healthy. That's dysfunction. That is dysfunction at its finest. So are you self-aware? Are there any people in here that you feel comfortable enough to say to yourself, I might need to work on that a little bit? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why God has allowed me to be. I feel like the piece of coal that's been pressed by crucial conversations over years. And I think I'm not a flawless diamond, but I got it down. And I'm saying I had to work at it. I really did. I had to embrace it. I had to work at it because how many know when you first get that wave of emotion, what do you want to do with that wave of emotion? Express it. And how do you normally express it? People do it different ways. Anger, that's a good one. People express, what'd you say? So that's a good one, sarcasm. Yeah. That's a good one. I was very guilty of that. At work, home, that was part of me pouting. That was my way of manipulating the situation to get what I wanted. We're going to talk about that too. But being self-aware. So you need to know how to have a healthy conversation, and you need to know you to have a healthy, hard conversation. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to use an example from when Aleem was doing when he was in Bible college, and we were attending another church where he was serving and learning and all that good stuff. There was a woman there that needed a job. And so I hired her, and she was on my team. And what I soon found out was she was really sensitive. She wore her feelings on her sleeve. She did a lot of comparing. And so one day, she just stopped talking to me. Now, I am her manager. I support her. And she's on my team. So I have to engage you, right? I have to give you feedback. We have to talk. We got goals to meet. All this good stuff. Well, she shut down. So we were at church, and I asked her, have I done something to offend you? No. You spend at least 40 hours a week with me, and you haven't, if we engage, is one-word answers. And she was a really strong performer. So it wasn't like, she had issues with her job or anything like that. She was really good at what she did. So the weeks went by. So I said, no, I need to address this because it cut it with a knife. It was that thick. So after church, I politely went to her and I said, I'm just your name. Shannon, if you don't mind, can I have just a few minutes of your time? I don't want to talk right now. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. I said, please just give me a moment. I just want to talk to you. I just want to find out what I can do to, make sure that we're in a good place. So we go to the little classroom and we start talking. And one of the things that I'll do is I make it about me. Like, what can I do? What have I done? So the person feels a little bit more receptive and giving me the feedback. Well, she said, you always make me the butt of the joke. You're always making fun of me. And I said, give me an example. So when I came to work the other day, you told me, oh, I see you. She had on a really nice outfit. So I said, okay. And then she always exceeded goals and things like that. So, I would call her out. Well, what I learned about her that I did not know, she didn't like public recognition. She didn't like that. So that taught me a lesson. The other thing is y'all know my personality. I think everybody in here know especially that one back there, supposed to be safety team. Wake up, Barney. No, I'm just saying. So I learned that I needed to make sure that I didn't play with her like I play with everybody else, but I still was cordial with her. I would engage her and let her, If she wanted to crack a joke or whatever, I didn't initiate it. So we were able to resolve it. We were able to get past it. I took ownership because in that position, I was her leader. At work, we were, friends at church, but I'd never worked with her before, so I learned something different. So not only did I learn her, but at that point in time, I had to assess me. I can't have a one-size-fits-all personality for all the people that I support. And one of the things I like to tell leaders is you're going to always be outnumbered. If you're a leader, you're always going to be outnumbered. So we don't have the benefit of you matching my attitude. I am responsible for supporting you and meeting you where you are, even if I have to have a hard conversation with you. So I don't have the luxury of coming in and having a bad attitude or being in a mood. Now, those that I support, they come in, don't speak. They can be in meetings, don't participate, don't look engaged. But I don't have the benefit of doing that. But to do that, and you know how to, and what is the saying? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So if you continuously practice this, it's something, if you're married, if you have children, this is, like I said, it's transferable and it's universal. And it makes life so much easier. So you got to know you. So when you know how to have a healthy conversation, meaning you know the components, and you know yourself, you're self-aware, that's going to equal success. Now, I'm not saying that every hard conversation that you have, the person that you're having it with is not going to walk away and be upset. That's not a true statement. I'm not going to say that when you have a hard conversation that you yourself might not get emotional. That's not a true statement. But if you are self-aware, you know your triggers. Have you ever called somewhere to get assistance and you needed help, and the person that was supposed to help you, in them trying to help you, they said things like, well, you need to, well, what you should do. So that's not helping. So you have to be aware of how you're delivering the message. You have to also be aware of, if you're the one receiving the message, filter it through, if you know the person, their heart. Is this really something that I see all the time? Or is there something else going on? So you have to make sure that you know how to and you know you. So self-awareness involves deep personal honesty. Remember I said, take a look, do a self-assessment, really be honest with yourself. Okay, that's something we have to do. And in doing that, it comes from asking the hard questions. So in the GAP class, we've been talking about the scripture, and we're talking about the part of prayer where we ask God to search our hearts. That's that piece right there. That's that piece right there. Search me, O God, for any offensive thing. Basically, show me me. And equip me. Just don't show me and be like, oh, okay, that's me. No. Ask for the wisdom. Ask him to show you you. It's not too late to change. My mom, when she passed away, she was almost 80. My mama was known for telling the truth. And she did not sugarcoat it, by no means. And that doesn't mean it was always good, but as she got older and matured, I saw her get a little softer with that approach. But early on, she was known for someone who spoke her mind. She had a big old heart, but she meant to build you up, but she was chopping you down. So you walk out, you be like, okay, can I go live with my daddy? So making sure that you ask yourself the hard questions. Ask God to search you. So I know y'all like, when we gonna get to the good part? We get there. So, well, thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about what is a hard conversation. Earlier, I'm gonna put it in layman's terms. Basically, a crucial conversation is nothing more than this. It is an emotional conversation that is had between two or more people where there's differing opinions, and we each feel like we have something to lose. It's high stakes. I'm going to use an example. I'm going to use one from work. So I have a goal that I have to meet in my department, right? But I have peers who have competing goals that they have to meet. So for instance, I'm in service, my peers in collections. They're about collecting dollars. I'm about servicing the customer. So my approach is different than theirs. They're trying to hit that dollars collected per hour. I'm trying to make sure that my surveys are positive. But at the end of the day, we have one goal for the company, right? One goal. Same thing with the church. We've been walking through Acts. We've been talking about, conflict and, we talked about the bus on Sunday. We're going to keep going, but we're going to see you later. Be good. But a crucial conversation is where there's emotions involved because I got something to lose. Or you're not willing to compromise. So you're like, I'm right. I know I'm right. Or you get bent in such a way that you can't be flexible. You are bent. So everything bothers you. And we talked about this in the GAP class. Y'all hear all these shameless plugs for GAP. Basically, in me knowing me, I know my triggers, and I also know when I have not spent enough time in the Word, and it's more about me than everybody else. So you can get in a place where you're in a rut. So for you, everything is crucial. Everything is crucial. So crucial conversations, we have skin in the game, and I can't lose. I need to get my way. And you go to the conversation with that mindset. But a healthy conversation is different. So there has to be someone, and hopefully all of us that are in this room will be the someone now going forward when we have to have a hard conversation, we'll be the one that is doing it from a place of wisdom. And we'll take an intentional pause to take an assessment and say, okay, is this out of the norm? Especially if you have history with the person. Okay, fair enough? Okay, so what Oregon State says is a crucial conversation is a discussion between two or more people where stakes are high, opinions vary, and emotions run strong. These conversations, when handled poorly or not at all, lead to strained relationships. If we don't know how to have crucial conversations, healthy hard conversations, divorce, separation, domestic violence, and the list goes on. Estranged from your children, estranged from your family. You become an island of one, but you're always right. I tell people when I get to know them, I don't just give it to them, Miss Brenda, if I don't know them. But when I get to know them and they invite me in their space, I be like this, chomping at the bit. Please ask me to give you this feedback, please. But what I have learned is when we have to have hard conversations and we're not ready to hear the hard conversations, remember, where there's strife, what's there? Pride. You have to also be able to identify who you're dealing with. You have to know who you're dealing with. Now, it may be a situation where you can't avoid having the conversation because it might be family related, like you gotta have the conversation, or it could be work related and you gotta have the conversation. You can't avoid it, so you gotta get equipped, but you have to be armed with the knowledge of this person is already gonna come in like this. What do I need to do to get beyond those defenses? I might not get it the first time, but maybe I get them to relax a little bit. I may not get it the second time, but maybe I get them to relax a little bit. Might not be the third time. They might go back up here. Because a lot of times people who deal with the stresses of life and just living, what you see at work, at church, You see it everywhere. They're not compartmentalizing. They're doing this to everybody. They are no respect of persons. They are doing it to everybody because that's how they cope. That's how they deal. So it's up to us to be the mature ones, to be the equipped ones, to know how to, and to know ourselves so that we can reach them. Y'all see that underlying theme? Okay, good. Y'all a good class. What sets crucial conversations apart is their transformative potential. They can significantly alter life's trajectory, reshaping routines, relationships, and results. I want to share something with y'all real quick. Bear with me real quick. Okay. So, I got this feedback, and I want to share it with y'all because I thought it was interesting. So the person wrote this to me, and it said, "It took me wanting to develop into my career to understand that it would be more than just an increase in salary. An increase in salary meant my responsibilities in other areas would need to improve as well. No matter what skills I felt I displayed, they would be nothing without developing in communication and what some may refer to as graceful authority. It wasn't until 2018 I realized all the feedback I was getting prior might have been sugar-coated, not factual, and was meant to spare my feelings. But when truly wanting to grow, that was a disservice to myself. I received my first crucial conversation, and in that moment, I had 1,000 emotions running through me. But looking back, that was okay. The first emotion was hurt, because the person I valued so much I couldn't believe had these observations about me. Second was anger. I just knew I was above this feedback and was ready to turn a cold shoulder. However, third is when I realized to just sit in it for a second, removing the person, the emotion, and taking accountability for the thing that was considered in my control. My mentor referred to it as chew up the meat and spit out the bones. This was my self-reflection moment, realizing those who have the hardest conversations with you usually care the most about you and your well-being. This was the moment of ownership and changing the perspective that was once my reality. From there, I was solely focused on creating the best version of myself and running my own race in my own lane. This was the moment I learned the importance of crucial conversations. They can make or break you, but it's better to bend a little than break. My biggest takeaway, rather giving or receiving a conversation as such, is understanding the person you're having the conversation with. Remove emotion, speak factual. Ownership, execution, the changes that are do the changes that are necessary. Handle all conversations with grace. That was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had with someone that I thought a lot of, very close to. Much like the lady I told y'all about earlier, I took a chance with someone else. And basically, the person thought, do as I say and not as I do. But you are responsible for leading people, and they're watching you. So you're telling me be on time, but you ain't never coming to work. You telling me, to operate in the core values, but you're not embracing change. And so with that, while it was difficult, I prayed about it, and we're going to talk about that. But that was one of the most difficult conversations I had to have, because this was somebody I cared about, but I wasn't above firing them if I had to. And that's just the truth, because it's business. It's not personal. That's what this is about. A healthy conversation yields positive results. What is the motive? I wanted this person to grow, but I needed them to receive what I had to say. So we're going to talk about how I did that. I'm going to tell y'all in a minute. Y'all hold on. Y'all be a good class. Okay, so we're going to go back to the presentation. But I thought that was interesting. And the other part of growing is asking for 360 feedback. How many of you heard of 360 feedback? And I had someone tell me one time, and I think I still struggle with it. They said that feedback is a gift. Miss Brenda, I'm like you. I didn't ask for that. I did not ask for that. So I'm going to go back to where I was. Hold on. Y'all be patient with me. Y'all been a good class, though. Okay. So I want to pause for a minute because we have talked about what a healthy, hard conversation looks like. I've given examples of what it looks like. I've asked you to be the hearer and the doer. But there's also a biblical way that we should address one another. In a nutshell, if you look at Matthew 18, 15 through 17, can somebody read that if you can see it? Can somebody read that, or you can turn to it in your Bible? Okay, thank you, Bethany.
If a fellow believer hurts you, go and tell him. Work it out between the two of you. If he listens, you made a friend. If he won't listen, take one or two others along so that the presence of witnesses will keep things honest, and try again. If he still won't listen, tell the church. If you won't listen to the church, you'll have to start over from scratch. Confront him with the need for repentance and offer again God's forgiving love. Matthew 18:15.
So, if we have an issue with one another, so I have an issue with Adrian Sample, right? But I'm not going to talk to Adrian Sample about it. I'm going to talk to Miss Montague about it. What is that called? Is it building up a... That's called who? There you go, sowing dissension. And what's interesting, corporate America has taken this, and it is the standard or the template that we use. So if I have a peer, I go to my peer, I discuss whatever the challenges are. If my peer still cuts up, so to speak, then I take it to my leader. My leader addresses it. If the person still doesn't act right, then we go down the path of, HR, all that good stuff. But the best way to solve problems is communication. Talk. Shutting down, going internal, rather than thinking about what the facts are, we operate in feelings and we react. And it tears down the fabric of everything whether it's your marriage, your relationship with your children, in the church, it doesn't matter. It is like a cancer. So it's important for us to understand there is a process for it. If I have a problem with Adrian, I need to talk to Adrian. Simple as that. Now, I'm not saying the process is not hard. You got to work through it because you got to go through the filters, but we're going to get to that. So if we could go to the next slide. Okay, here we go. Healthy, hard conversation. So I asked you just a moment ago when we saw the EQ versus IQ. And Shannon went deeper and said the head versus the heart or something like that. I'm going to make it very simple. What's IQ? Does everybody know what IQ is? Intelligence quotient. So what's EQ? It measures your emotional quotient, how effective you are with dealing with your emotions. So, with that being said, emotional intelligence is your ability to manage your emotions and be self-aware of others. We are not in this world by ourselves. So we have to understand ourselves. Remember, to be successful, you got to know how to, and you got to know you. Okay? This is where that comes in. It's the ability to manage both your emotions while also being self-aware and knowing about those around you. Okay? We can't be like a bull in the china shop and just tear up everything all the time. So IQ is know how. EQ is know you. So have y'all ever met real smart people that are socially unaware? But they're real smart. I used to go to school with a person like that, and I ended up, and I don't know why I gave this young man this nickname, but he responded, because he was so smart. But he wouldn't take any tests, so he gets zeros all the time. So I went through high school calling him zero, and he would respond. He had a very high IQ, but he had no EQ. Like he just had that deficit. There was no balance there. So we have to, while some people are probably a little bit more adept at, managing our emotions, we might not be as emotional. Some of us need to exhibit some emotions and we don't. So it can go both ways. But we have to work on balancing both of those. It's not just about the know-how. You can be smart, the smartest person in the room. It's just like learning the Bible I don't know if it was Pastor Aleem or Derek, but to know the Bible just to hit people upside the head with it, with the word, it's not just about how much you know, because at the end of the day, we're relational. So we have to build interpersonal interpersonal relationships and skills. That's what I was trying to say. So if you look at EQ and the young man over there with the glasses on and the nice polo, he actually gave us part of this definition. So, sir, could you please read what it says for EQ? What does that sound like to y'all? Huh? Fruit of the Spirit. Good class. Good job. Okay, can somebody read IQ?
Analysis, know-how, technological expertise, concept and design, critical thinking, patterns, and logic.
Have y'all heard that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care? That's what that is. You can be the smartest person in the room and tear up the whole room. You can be someone who is very self-aware, aware of your audience, and connect immediately and have a whole lot of impact. Because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So we have to get equipped. We have to be equipped. I like what it says at the bottom. It says, your EQ can have a greater influence on your success in life than your IQ. Yeah. The old stereotype about the football player who had all the friends, but he always needed somebody to help him, pass the test. He had the EQ piece. He had the EQ piece. But in all of this, remember, it's about wisdom. We've got to get the wisdom. So let's turn to James 1:5. Because when we don't know how to do something, or we are not self-aware enough, and we need to know more, and we've asked God to search us and to show us, we need wisdom. We always need wisdom. So if you're there, James 1:5, can somebody read that for me?
But if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously without reproach, and it will be given to him.
So if you need wisdom, what do you need to do? Okay, good. Y'all are a good class. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. So, I know I'm spending a whole lot of time on this, but I really want y'all to understand that it's so important to know how to have the conversation, but the biggest part of it that you can't control is knowing you. Do you know you? So, self-awareness questions. I want us to talk through this a little bit. So, receiving critical feedback. How do you handle criticism or constructive feedback? That demonstrates your willingness to improve. So Shannon mentioned earlier the person is closed off. So I want you to put yourself in the place of the hearer and the doer and ask yourself that question. And be honest. Can somebody read the next one? That's a real good one. When you're stressed, how do you engage your loved ones? What are some of your tales or some of the things that you do when you're stressed? What you do? You're short? What else? You going to jail. You're going to be on the news. You can't be choking people. That's not what we do. Get quiet. Want to be alone. Shut down. Courtney, how do you handle stress? What yeah, right. You cry? When I get stressed, I think, well, I don't get stressed, do I, baby? That's my willingness to improve, y'all, or the lack thereof. No, you should know your triggers. When you're under stress, what's your trigger? Like, what's that tipping point? I used to have this saying, and I stopped saying it because it was happening too much, especially at work. I would say, such and such got one more time. One more time. And guess what happened? Them one more times got me in trouble. We'll talk about that later. So, understanding how to deal with stress. And what do you need to do to better handle the stress? Should you be having long-term conversations in that state? Now, sometimes there's some immediate things that you have to discuss, but if you're not equipped, you can't pivot. You can't pivot. You can't go from offense to defense. Like you just stuck in the middle. Watch them run up and down the court like this, like Shaq. Can somebody take the next one? That's having those long-term conversations. Shouldn't be doing that when you're in managing conflicting emotions and decision-making. You got to have a process that you can readily, it's a Rolodex, you go right to it. Because sometimes decisions are immediate and they are riddled with emotion. Like you might not have a chance to separate and pause. Like you might have to deal with it right then. So we got to practice. Self-regulation, how do you manage your behavior, reactions to feelings and things happening around you? Demonstrate self-control and discipline. So I think this is a good one as it relates to be in the world but not of the world. And you can definitely tell that that person is set apart. And that's going to allow you to be the witness. So that's the biblical piece of that. But you don't have to say everything you think. You don't. And that aligns with what fruit of the Spirit? What part of the fruit of the Spirit? Self-discipline. There you go. Self-control. Conflict resolution. Oh, I like this one. How do you handle conflict? Demonstrates empathy and ability to be flexible. So you remember when I said that I make it about me? Because I've gotten to the point where I've assessed, and I can do it quicker now, but there have been some times, I'm not going to tell y'all, no lies, where I've been like, Holy Spirit, please show me what I need to do, because she about to get it. She about to get these words. Then that ain't good for nobody. So conflict resolution, healthy conflict resolution is understanding the receiver, showing empathy, understanding that there might need to be some compromise, that it's not your way or the highway, or you can kick rocks. Stop telling people to kick rocks. Leave the rocks where they are. And don't be stoning folks with them either. Communication. How do you tailor your communication style when working with different personalities? Or living with different personalities, engaging different personalities. How do you tailor your communication? Remember, I talked about that just a minute ago. As a leader, you don't have the ability to, be the one with the bad attitude. Like you have to be many things to many people, and you have to learn how to exercise that and be okay with that. But you have to tailor your communication style. I'm going to give y'all a free one. I ain't going to charge y'all for this one. So there's a personality assessment, and one of the personalities is feeler. I treat everybody like a feeler until I get to know them. What that means is those are the most sensitive personalities you can deal with. They are the ones who feel everything. Then when I get to know you, then I know, okay, I don't have to tell Miss Montague, you know what? You are such a nice lady. You did such a great job. And I don't have to do that. I can just say, Miss Montague, stop doing that. So once you get to know the person and you know their personality, then you can have a more effective communication or engagement with the person because you understand and you're self-aware of who you are and you know more about the person so that you can communicate effectively. So you have awareness and awareness of others. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. We're almost done, y'all. Y'all a good class. Okay, this is what we talked about earlier. So this is the filter. You want to filter through your heart. So executing healthy, hard conversations, you have to take time to assess your emotional state and feelings. So you see my shirt says it's okay to feel all the feels, but it's not okay to act on them, okay? Okay. We have to take ourselves through a process. How are you feeling? What are you feeling and why? Take a look at your environment. Like, why is this really bothering you? Are you doing the best thing for you to make sure that you are healthy? That's the self-awareness. You know, who are you spending your time with? Where are you spending your time? And what is occupying your time? So that's search me and show me me. So you got to take yourself through this filter. You got to go through this process before you have these conversations. And again, when you do this, sometimes it's fast, like it's in the moment. But sometimes you have to take a minute and pause, depending upon the severity of the conversation. And do you have to act right now? Do you have the liberty of time on your side where you can say, okay, I don't have to say anything right now. I need to deal with me. Okay? But when you practice it, you got it right there in your pocket. You stay ready. You can, okay, why am I feeling like this? Why is this person aggravating me? Okay, Tanya, it's you. Don't say nothing. Or this is something you need to address. Okay, if it is, do I address it now or do I address it later? What are you consuming spiritually, physically, and emotionally? What are you feeding that spiritual man, that physical man? Because that's going to impact that emotional man. That's the beast that we have to keep at bay. That scripture, Psalms 139, 23 through 24, that's one of my favorite scriptures. Could somebody read that for me? Y'all done got quiet on me.
Investigate my life, oh God. Find out everything about me. Cross-examine and test me. Get a clear picture of what I'm about. See for yourself whether I know anything wrong. Then guide me on the road of life.
Search me, Lord. And we have the benefit of having a relationship with Christ. So my first tool in my tool belt is prayer. Even if it's something I got to address fast. Nobody said you got to labor and travail for hours. Lord, give me the words to say. Lord, if it's something I got to address right now, Lord, I pray you set up the atmosphere. Deal with my heart and the person that I have to engage. Prepare both of our hearts, Lord, for a healthy conversation. Show me what I need to see about them. Show me where I need to yield, Lord. And so you have to have this readily available. You have to practice this. Why am I feeling like this? Why is this bothering me like this? Why do I feel offended? Why do I feel like I need to address it? Or if I am the hearer, then why, again, that's kind of sitting in both spaces, hearer and doer, because you're asking yourself these questions, and in both positions you should do that. That's the process. If we could go to the next slide, please. So this is executing healthy conversations. So I'm telling you now how to have it. You got to assess you. You got to bathe it in prayer. God, show me before I address this. Give me wisdom. You want to take time to pray and prepare for the conversation. What is the goal of the conversation? Remember I said you got to have an objective. Why do you need to have this hard conversation? Why do you need to? What is the objective? Is it to build up or tear down? And build up doesn't mean that you don't address the hard parts. I'm going to a specialist for my back, and one of the analogies he gave me, he said, we're going to do demolition and renovation at the same time. We're going to tear this down, and we're going to build this up. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you are prepared for the conversation. What is the focus of the conversation? What is the thing you want to focus on? You cannot have a healthy, hard conversation and bring up all the things the person ever did, because now you're mad and you're going to give it to them. You want to address what it is you need to address. Everything that's happened 6 years ago, it happened 6 years ago. What do we need to address in the moment? That's the healthy point of view. That's the healthy action of someone who is acting in wisdom. I need to address this thing. So you want to make sure that the focus of the conversation is the main thing. The objective is to build up. You want to get something constructive out of the conversation, but you don't want the person, even though it might be hard, and they may feel, when they leave, man, like what I read, man, that was hard. But if we deliver it the right way, once the person, or even us being the recipients, once we settle, we can really chew up the meat and spit out the bones, so to speak. Have you filtered the facts to identify the truth without emotion? We don't do enough of that. We take it for, face value, and we run with it. We don't take a pause to filter what we're trying to say. And then, have you taken any ownership in whatever is taking place? What part do you play? And sometimes, in all honesty, maybe the part that you played, you feel like, okay, it wasn't that big, but to the person that you're having the conversation with, it might have been, like the lady I told y'all about. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with the facts without the emotions. You got to separate the two. You got to strip it down, and you got to get to what is it I need to talk about. Let's talk about this without all the emotion that is, it could be shrouded in. And then ownership. What part do I need to take? And then you need to, when you have the conversation with whoever the person is, you need to tell them, I take accountability. I'm responsible. And I apologize. Not, well, if I offended you. If you have an if in front of your apology, you're not apologizing. You're not taking accountability. So we talked about where there's strife, there's pride. We have to let that go. The Holy Spirit, Luke 12:12, David the voice. You see that, the voice version. The Holy Spirit will give you the words to say at the moment when you need them. For in that very hour, you do not have to defend yourself. He will give you the words to say. So we have to make sure that we take time to pray and prepare for the conversation. That means you got to go back and assess what it is that happened, filter it through the truth versus, the emotion, and look at the facts. And then what part did you play? And own it. So you want to put it together, the head and the heart. That is the IQ and the EQ. That's the how-to, and that's the know-you, which helps you successfully have these conversations. Okay, next slide, please, and we're about to wrap up. We already did that one. Can we go forward again? Here we go. This is the last slide. So when you're executing healthy, go back one. Oh, this is the one. Okay, stay right there. Sorry. So in order to have a healthy conversation, once you've assessed the situation, you've done your self-assessment, and you're in a place where you know, okay, this is what I need to discuss, and this is the outcome. I want to make sure that we can get to X place, and I want it to be positive. So this is what you do. You schedule time for the conversation. Now, you don't necessarily have to wait to schedule the time. For instance, I had a situation where there was something that was crucial that happened, and I needed to have the conversation, but what I did was I scheduled it that day, but I scheduled it 2 weeks out. because it held me accountable because I need to have this conversation. But it gave me time to look at the facts, to go through the process, to filter through my heart, to pray and ask God for wisdom, to show me so that I could have this conversation. Don't procrastinate. That's the wanting to avoid conflict. And then you get to the point where it wasn't that big deal. And then they do it again the next day. You're like, God. So don't procrastinate. I encourage you, go ahead and get it scheduled. Don't schedule it for 2 months out. Don't schedule it for 3 weeks out. You know, you can, but don't let a month get past. If it is truly a crucial conversation and change needs to ensue, you need to go ahead and schedule the conversation. And you need to start praying about it and preparing for it so that God can really get the glory from that conversation, and you can have the impact that, is desired. And it may work the other way. He may deal with you in the process also. So this is where you put it all together. And this is how we start to demonstrate the fruit of the Spirit. And, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against these things there is no law. This is all good stuff. So when we take ourselves through that process and we have these hard conversations, we don't have to run from conflict. We don't have to be afraid to deal with the hard things. It can be healthy. Conflict is healthy. Friction, what is it? Iron sharpens iron. That's friction. Friction helps us get better, but we have to, one, not be so sensitive as the hearer or the doer, and we have to start to execute the process of being okay with having these hard conversations. You have to practice it. Don't get mad and take your ball every time. Because I'm going to be like, no, when you come back with your ball, I'm like, we're not even going to play. So just make sure you follow up. So we're going to go to the next slide and we're going to be done. And these are just tips of, and I can send this to y'all if you can't see that, but there are several tips for having a healthy conversation. But the biggest thing is fostering the right environment. And that's just not externally, that's internally. That's just not the place, it's the person. So you want to make sure that you set yourself up for success. So I said a lot, but at the end of the day, you need to have emotional intelligence. We need to exercise that emotional intelligence muscle to build our emotional quotient. It's not about what you know. It's how you demonstrate how much you care. So even when it's hard, it can still be healthy. So we got 1 minute. Any questions, y'all? Anybody got any questions? I hope this helped y'all a little bit. Thank y'all. Oh, you're so sweet. You get to stay, be my friend.